Today we're going to do the most epic, awesome, unbelievable, hugest epoxy pour you've ever seen on my floor. An epoxy coating on your garage floor is a pretty nice upgrade if you can justify it. Now in my case, my floor looked like crap. We had some areas where we had heaving and we ground down the high spots for safety reasons, but that really exposes a lot of the rocks and things in the lower levels of the concrete, and it just looked like doo-doo. We have a lot of cracks and things that we filled that I really just wanted it to look a little bit nicer, but there are other benefits here. It's not just aesthetic. You get light reflection off of the floor. It makes your space a lot brighter. You also have a very easy time cleaning dust off of it, whether you're sweeping or vacuuming. In my case, I also am hoping that it helps a little bit with a radon issue that we've been having. We have mitigation systems on our house. It's a whole story. Anybody wants to talk radon someday, let's get a beer. We'll talk about it. But I'm trying to get the numbers as low as I can, and I'm hoping maybe Hail Mary pass that this will help with the radon problem. The other thing is resale value, of course. If you have a garage and at some point in the future you want to sell it, a nice epoxy coated floor, people like to see that, right? So in my case, I've got tools everywhere in here, and I'm not going to get a pod. A lot of people think you should just get a pod, put the tools in there, but for me, that step up into a pod is the deal breaker. Getting my tools to rise up, however tall that step is really difficult to do, especially since I'm going to do a lot of this tool moving myself. Right? So what I'm going to do is move everything from one side to the other and do this in 2 phases. And I'm doing this in the off season. It's winter time right now, so they're not super busy, and that's a good time to find a floor coating expert who can do the job for you because they probably don't have a lot of work right now. Right? So let me show you how it went.
First things first, I need to clear out the back half of the garage. Thankfully, this really wasn't as bad as you might think. Usually it's just a matter of disconnecting the dust collection and power and rolling the tool out of the way. While I don't exactly have what I'd call a mobile shop, most of my stuff actually is mobile with either added casters, a mobile base, or integrated mobility like we have on the planer, drum sander, CNC, and table saw. Speaking of the table saw, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I'm pretty sure Powermatic is the only table saw that comes with an integrated mobile system. The blade height adjustment wheel has a second position where it can be used to push down a set of casters. A big tool like the 12-inch jointer is pretty easy to move with a couple of furniture dollies. Even this beast of a CNC has heavy-duty casters that make it pretty easy to move. A Rubo workbench is pretty heavy too, but if you put one set of legs on a dolly, you could pick up the other end and move it pretty easily. At this point, I'm realizing that I really need to budget my space carefully since I still need room for the floor guys to pass through. The right side cabinet of my miter station has 10 drawers, so it's pretty annoying to move. I took out most of the drawers just to lighten the load, but apparently forgot that there's this thing called gravity. So I did what I should have done in the first place and just removed all the drawers. As I move this metal finish cabinet, I find myself wondering if I really need it anymore. I've really simplified the number of finishes that I work with, so maybe when I set things back up, I'll gain a little more space by getting rid of this thing. Surprisingly, this whole process only took a couple of hours.
All right, so that wasn't too bad, getting everything to one side. I'm a little bit more concerned about bringing everything back over here because now it's 100% of the stuff in the shop coming to this side, but we'll see how that goes. The epoxy guys are on their way. This is supposed to be a 2-day process to get this done, and today they're gonna make a lot of dust with some grinding, so we'll see how that goes. I'm just gonna watch safely from over there.
The first step is to remove the crap that's in the expansion joints. Believe it or not, this is the most time-consuming part of the process. Now that I'm watching the video and seeing this floor, I truly have no idea what that giant stain is from. Pretty gross. Probably someone else's fault. Next, they bring in the big boy, a large diamond grinder. This tool easily removes any surface stains, sealers, or anything else that might prevent the epoxy from penetrating. It really opens up the concrete and gets it ready to accept the finish. When folks choose to go DIY for a floor coating, this is likely going to be the biggest factor in a future failure. Much like wood finishing, surface prep is everything. The dust that this tool generates is nasty, so thankfully they've got a really nice vac system hooked up to a generator. With the grinding done, they vacuum up the dust and fill in the cracks and expansion joints. And finally, the epoxy is applied. They start by cutting in around the perimeter and in the joints, and next they pour the epoxy out, spread it around, and roll it on until it's nice and smooth. To finish it off, they broadcast these little chips into the epoxy, which will give it some texture and grip underfoot. The epoxy application was really quick and only took about 30 minutes. Now the smell is pretty awful, so I'm not even going in there to get my camera, just letting it roll, and I'll shut off the lights and say goodnight. Inside the house, I actually used blue tape to seal the doors. Now this is the door from my kitchen that leads to the laundry room. And here's the door from the laundry room that leads to the garage. This was some epic grade A stank, and the tape actually did help a lot. The next day, they use a scraper to break off the chips and then vacuum up the excess. Next, it's time for the polyaspartic top coat. This is an incredibly durable top coat that also includes a nice helping of this gritty material. Along with the texture from the flakes, this should go a long way to help prevent the surface from being slippery when wet or dusty. Now the top coat stinks just as bad as the epoxy, but it also cures a lot faster, so the smell was bad but short-lived. I didn't even have to tape off the doors that night, and instead just left the windows open. The last coat was applied on a Friday morning, and I won't be out there again until Sunday to move the tools.
All right, so it's been 2 full days that the floor has had to cure, and now we can start bringing stuff over. The flooring company offered me the opportunity to have the stem wall done. Now, in most garages, your stem wall isn't very tall, and it doesn't add a whole lot more to the expense, and certainly looks really good if the epoxy goes up that stem wall. The problem here is this is pretty darn tall. The shop is actually partially sunken into the ground on this side. So with that much square footage, I just can't justify the cost for something that I'm not actually ever going to step on. So I think the easiest and most economical thing to do is to pick a color, one of the 4 colors in the floor, and put that on the stem wall. A lot more expensive, a lot more efficient, and should look just fine. That's the next step. I want to vacuum off the wall, prime it, and then paint it, and then we can move everything back over. Since I won't have this opportunity for long, I've got to take advantage of it and practice my breakdancing.
I start with the primer and quickly realize how much better it would have been if I would have thought of this before the epoxy was applied. I could have just used my HVLP and gotten the job done a lot faster, but this is what I get for not thinking ahead. Now John is coming in to help me move the tools today, so I was only able to get a coat of primer on the wall before it was time to hurt our backs. So I guess I'll finish that later. As tempting as it is to put everything back exactly where it's supposed to go, I really need to once again be smart and pack the tools in as efficiently as possible. By the way, those little moving men pads on the floor are fantastic, especially when moving furniture in the house. I highly recommend buying some. With John here now, we can really crank the rest of this stuff out. This time I've got a chance to paint the stem wall before they do the grinding, so this will save me a huge amount of time. The process on this side is exactly the same, so there's no reason to show it to you again, or maybe I just missed it.
Man, those guys work fast. I had every intention of getting some footage of the epoxy and the flakes going down yesterday, but I was on a call, and by the time I got off the call, they were done. So here we are now. The next day, it's certainly, I can walk on it at this point, and I'm waiting for the guys to come back, scrape everything off, and then put the polyaspartic top coat on. Now, I do want to mention what's interesting about this side. I expected this to put more odor into the house than the previous one, because this is actually closer to the house. But because I have a garage door over there and I have an open window over here, the cross ventilation really just took all the fumes out. So I didn't even have to tape the doors. We didn't smell anything on the inside. So that's actually really good. We'll see if the top coat does the same thing, but I'm expecting that cross ventilation to really help. So I'm gonna get out of here so these guys can get in, start scraping, and put that final top coat on.
Just like before, it's scrape, 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 sucky, sucky. Then the top coat goes down. I really don't know how these guys do this work without a respirator on. Yikes. Now I'll save you the trouble of seeing me put the shop back together, because that's boring.
So I am so excited to be done. I really missed my shop. It was over a week to get this whole process done, and I'm ready to start building some stuff. We've got everything back in place already. John was a big help with that. The reason I didn't show the placing of all the tools is because it's pretty much what you already saw, just in reverse. Everything's back where it was. I did make a couple of small changes. Whenever you disassemble everything like that, it's a real good opportunity to look at placement and see if you can make some improvements. So one thing I changed was my drill press, which used to be over here here was never actually intended to be there, but that's just where it ended up. That's really meant for a garbage can. All right, so now finally I have my garbage can there and I could redistribute things on that wall if I need to. And my drill press is now over here. A lot more room there. I can move the table up and down freely and it doesn't present any problems. Right, so I know there's probably some questions. I know when I posted this stuff on social media, a lot of people had questions and they kept asking the same things over and over. So hopefully I can help answer those questions before you even have to ask them. All right, so why didn't I do it myself? Well, the first reason is because I didn't want to. This is a crappy job. I mean, anyone who's done it before, you know there's a lot of work involved. If you don't grind the floor really well, you have to do like an acid etch on it. I would have to rent equipment to get that stuff done. It's just, to me, this is a job done best by a pro. They know exactly what they're doing. They've got the equipment. They grind the floor. They don't do an acid etch, and that opens up all the pores and allows that finish to go deep and not just be a surface coating, but to really bond to the concrete. And that's what's going to make it last a long time. They have access to finishes that I don't. Even just the stuff you can buy commercially, it's not the same thing that the pros use. So I'd rather get the better materials on the floor. You know, the biggest thing on my mind is safety. I don't want any part of concrete dust or the fumes that come off of these finishes. So for me, hands down, it just made more sense to have someone else do the work, and then I could focus on moving the tools. If you've DIY'd a floor and you have great success, all the power to you. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I'm just saying I'm not gonna do it. And what about the cost? It was about $5.50 a square foot. And yes, the flex in the floor will make screws hard to find. But why are you using screws in your fine furniture anyway? That's a joke. I really don't use a lot of hardware in my work, so if I drop something on the floor, it's a very infrequent occurrence here. Furthermore, I've had black mats on the floor in my shop, and that's pretty hard to find hardware on too. So it's par for the course for what I'm used to, and small price to pay for the extra traction that I have on the floor. And you might be wondering, why am I still using the rubber mats? Well, it's about comfort. I don't really wear any special footwear. I usually just have some kind of running shoe on, so I like to have extra support under my feet at all of my workstations, and I put that right on top of the floor, but it's really only covering, I don't know, maybe 25% of the floor. The rest is still visible, and now I just don't have all those ugly cracks and grind marks and all that other stuff to look at. So overall, I am stoked with the results of this floor. You know, if you go to do this yourself and you could do the whole pod thing, that's gonna be easier. Get these people in and out of here in a couple of days, get it all done in one fell swoop. For me, this just made the most sense. It was right after vacation, so it was a good time to do it. But I gotta tell you, I am ready to get some building done. I have so many ideas that I wanna get out of my head, and I need a shop to do that. Hope you found this interesting, useful, educational, entertaining, or something. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.